but I'm like, you know, scales and key signatures and all that, that's the fundamentals of playing music if you can play that. But it's kind of like telling them they have to eat their broccoli. They don't love it, but it's good for them. So hi, I'm Jessica Thomas. I am a middle school band director. I teach 6th through 8th grade band. I start from beginners. My kids start in 6th grade, and I teach them all 3 years through 8th grade. And yeah, this is my 8th year teaching, and it's my first year at the school that I'm at now. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Like, married, 2 dogs. My husband is also a band director, so makes life pretty interesting.
Yeah, good stuff. So you are a music teacher, so I have a lot of questions regarding to music side of things.
Okay.
Yeah, I see you have I think it's a classic clean guitar or something in the background.
Yeah, that's my husband's.
So he plays that then, plays guitar.
Yeah, he's the high school band director that I feed. He teaches a guitar class, and then he's actually in the military band, and he plays guitar and trumpet in the military band. So.
Okay, that's interesting. What about yourself? Do you play many instruments, or what are your go-to instruments?
I play clarinet.
Okay, so what's so good about the clarinet over any other woodwind?
I like how versatile it is. Like, we can play really, really soft and really, really loud and really, really low and really, really high. And I don't know. To me, like, when I teach it to my kids, we're like the violins of the band. Like, we're the warmest, biggest section. And I don't know, like, we have a lot of cool parts. That's what I started playing in 6th grade, just like my kids do. So I actually picked it because my friend played it, and it worked out for me.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of a personal preference too, because you like the sound of it. I mean, every woodwind has its own sound. We were talking we actually did do an interview with another music teacher. She was explaining her side of things, like how she views the different instruments. She said the oboe, I personally like the oboe the most. I like the sound of it, but she says it's one of the hardest to play.
6th grade oboes do not sound good, but they have to sound bad so they can sound good one day. I have 3 6th grade oboe players this year, and it's a lot, but they'll be good one day.
It's a lot of work to play it, though.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, as opposed to clarinet and flute and stuff like that.
Yeah.
What about? Is there any other instruments that kind of caught your attention, your eye, or?
I love the French horn. I think if I went back and restarted 6th grade band and did it all over again, I would probably pick the French horn. I like the clarinet. There's nothing wrong with it, but the French horn it's such a beautiful sound, and especially John Williams music, anything he wrote, like Star Wars, Jurassic Park, anything like that. The French horns always have the coolest parts.
Yeah, French horn. I like the sound of it as well. Reason I'm asking all these instruments is because I'm a orchestra composer myself, so I take a bunch of this stuff together and then kind of make a track out of it. So I've worked with. I don't actually play any traditional instruments though, and I've always kind of looked to get into it. But it's a lot of money, so the cello is something I'm interested in, but that's it's expensive and it's a lot of practice to kind of perfect. So
yeah.
But besides all of that, what kind of got you how did you end up wanting to be a music teacher? Was it always something you wanted to do, or?
I had known for a long time that I wanted to be a teacher. My 4th grade teacher was amazing. Her name was Miss Jones. I had a pretty rough home life at the end of elementary school. In my 4th grade year, I actually had a friend pass away at school, like in an accident. And it was a pretty traumatizing year. And my 4th grade teacher, like, she pretty much adopted me. And I didn't really realize it at the time. Like, she just, like, I could stay with her after school, and she would take me and feed me and give me dinner. And I just kind of hung out with her kids. And so as early as 4th grade, I knew I wanted to be a teacher just because she cared about me. At a time where, like, I didn't really trust adults that much. And I joined band in 6th grade, and I was actually thinking about quitting band in 8th grade. I didn't want to do high school band. But my parents are like, we bought a clarinet. You need to at least do 1 year of high school band. And I just fell in love with it. I loved marching band. And I grew up, where I lived in high school was pretty low socioeconomic status. Not a lot of people went to college. A lot of people dropped out of school. But I noticed that the kids who were in band stuck with school and stayed in school. Like, it was their reason for coming to school, and it was a family for them when they didn't have a great family. So it was my freshman year of high school. I was like, that's what I want to do. I want to be a band director.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Everyone has their own kind of story getting into music or whatnot, being a teacher. We've interviewed a couple teachers already, so there's always a different background. What is the story behind your Instagram handle, The Balanced Musician?
It's kind of funny. I was thinking about that today. It started out, so in musicians, we have to play in balance. We have this thing called the balance pyramid that we try to strive for. And then we also balance, like, depending on who has the melody or who has the harmony. But then also, work-life balance is a big thing for me, a big thing that I talk about. I actually presented about it at our state music educators convention, and I'm going to do it at our national. So I was like, that would be really cool because it touches on the musician side of things and the fact that I really like, talking about the balance between work and life. But it's kind of funny because as I've read and learned things, like, true balance is not really possible. And that's kind of true in a music setting. Like, it ebbs and flows. Like, sometimes you're very prominent, sometimes you're not. Sometimes you have to back off and let other people shine. And it's just a very good metaphor for life. Like, you can't just never go to work or never go to school or go home. Like, it ebbs and flows. Like, sometimes I'm home a lot. Sometimes I'm home at school until 8 o'clock. So kind of just ties in, like, my two passions, I guess, like teaching music and helping people live a bit better of a life overall.
Yeah, very cool. What genres kind of got you into, or what genres do you listen to, like, at the moment?
It's weird because my life is so noisy. I don't listen to a lot of music. Actually, if I listen to anything, I listen to audiobooks. I like almost everything, though. I'm not a huge country fan, but, like, I appreciate it that it exists. I would say I'm probably big into like Americana. I really like Jason Isbell. He's my favorite. But also, like, I like pop music. Like, I like stuff that I can kind of just listen to and not have to think about, because I think about music all the time. But I can probably listen to almost anything just because one thing I've learned is you don't always have to like something to appreciate it. So, even if it's not like, ooh, this is my favorite, everything that is out there has value.
Yeah, I'm the same way. There's a few genres I don't listen to. I don't really like EDM. Like the electronic dance stuff, I really don't like it. But I mean, it's there. I'm not going to say it's bad music, because there are people that like it or whatever, and there are people that put the work into it. But I just don't like it. So,
yeah.
But I can appreciate this, the fact it's there. So,
yeah.
Yeah. What's the classroom atmosphere like then? So you're talking about how you're always focused on music. Is it always just kind of?
Sorry.
Is it sometimes stressful, the classroom atmosphere?
It is a little bit, just because it's my first year at a new school. And so we're still kind of establishing our routine. I try to play as much as possible with the kids, because that's why they joined. So generally, like, they come in, I try to always greet them at the door. We fist bump on the way in the door, so that way they have a positive interaction on the way in. And then, like, today, like on Friday, we do Feel Good Friday. We do good things, where we share good things. But the focus is mostly on music. It's a little bit of chaos because it's, 30, 40, 50 kids with instruments in a tiny little room. But I don't know, it's worth it. And like, the kids have a good time. Even today, like 6th grade, like, we kind of goofed off a little bit. I have them at the end of the day, which 6th graders at the end of the day is an adventure. But we just kind of goofed off today. They just learned Jingle Bells. So we played through Jingle Bells and messed around with it. And I don't know, like, we just have a good time. And like, I try to teach them what they need to know through music, like not just like standing at the board talking at them. I feel like even I struggle, like, teachers, we talk too much, like, and it's something that I try to get better about doing.
Yeah, for sure. With the school and all, do you guys do like a Christmas, I don't know, musical or something like that, or a winter break musical?
Yeah, for us, it's just that we do a winter concert. So we do one in December, and all three, I have a 6th grade band, a 7th grade band, and an 8th grade band, and they'll all play at that. The high school band does a little bit more. Chorus has their own concert, but we don't do a whole lot together, which, again, like, it's my first year of school. At previous schools I've been at, we have done things together, like we'll do like a Black History assembly, or we'll do an end of year assembly. And it's just really cool to get the kids to be able to listen to each other, because we don't always get to do that.
Yeah, that's cool. Reason I'm asking is because I remember we always had a Christmas musical with our school when we were growing up. So I'm just kind of wondering if that's still a thing. I heard that some schools do more of a winter musical because of different religion and stuff like that. So they don't really have like a Christmas-like thing. But yeah, it's always interesting to hear. So with education and all that, what are some of the areas like how do you feel like the education system today? Is it kind of like, is there certain things that are like outdated or?
Yeah, I was actually just thinking about that. So, like, I'm very real. So I had a 7th grader flip me off yesterday at the end of class, which it happens sometimes. Kids make bad decisions. And, I was like really thinking about what to do, because, like, if we write him up, he'll end up in ISS and he gets pulled from class. And for a lot of kids, like, that's not really a punishment. I think the way that we discipline kids is just very outdated. Kids have changed a lot, like with social media and with technology. It's just a very different world. Their motivations are not the same. Parents are busy. And so I think it's really outdated. And I think things are moving in the right direction, kind of going back to balance. Like, the pendulum always swings, like education always, I feel like, swings back and forth between, ideas. I just feel like, in general, and I think it's a bad thing with teachers too, like testing and everything has kind of dehumanized education. And so there's like this big movement of like, kids' basic needs have to be met before you could teach them. And, there's this big push about standardized testing because, it's very monetized. It's big business, the testing side of things. And so kids are just burnt out and they're tired, and then they act out, and then we wonder why they're acting out. And it's like, well, like, they're stressed out, they're tired, they don't feel like they have value outside of getting the right answers on a test. And I think things are slowly starting to change, but I'm glad that I teach band because I get to see the human side of kids and I have an opportunity. But it's just, kids are getting burnt out, like as early as 6th and 7th grade, like just being anxious and burnt out. And I don't know. I'm hoping it changes faster than it is now.
Yeah, for sure. How so is everything, you say it's somewhat being improved?
Yeah, like, so my school, like our county as a whole is doing this thing called capturing capturing kids' hearts, and it's all about, you know, building a relationship with kids and, you know, coming down to their level. And I think that's helpful. And I think I think parents are starting to notice that testing is kind of a monster. And like other parents are opting kids out of tests, and we're trying to lessen the amount of like, I know for me, like I used to have to do a standardized test in band, but they did get rid of that. So that's good. So like, I think students and teachers are starting to be seen as people, which should have been like that from the get-go, but hasn't always been the case.
Yeah, for sure. You've been mentioning balance a lot, so I thought I'd ask, how is it balancing like school, like the work and your like home life and all that?
It's not always easy. And some days are just crazy. For instance, yesterday I had an after school rehearsal until 5:30. I came home really quick and let our dogs out. And my husband had a concert at 7. So just realizing that some days are going to be crazy. But I don't keep email on my phone. When I leave school, I leave school. And even today I got an email right as I was leaving, and I was like, nope, I'm going to answer this on Monday. And just leaving work at work. And it's hard for us because we're both band directors and my kids go to his school. And so it's very easy for us to get into it, but we have a pretty strict no work at home policy. Sometimes we break it, or sometimes we'll call each other on the way home, like from the stop sign, like, hey, I just want to tell you this really quick when I get home. So when I get home, I don't have to talk about it. And then I schedule in downtime. Like I have a once a week friend date. It forces me to leave school on time. I go to the chiropractor once a week. That's one day a week that it forces me to leave school on time. It's like realizing that there's going to be busy seasons, but when you don't have a busy season, just really making sure that you take time to like rest, recharge. I think it's hard for teachers in general to leave work at work, but I think for musicians and music teachers especially, because it's not just what we teach, it's who we are. We're always a musician. So it's hard for us to leave it at home, but I've gotten a lot better probably over the last couple of years about doing it.
Yeah, that's good. That also raises another thing, because social media ties in a lot with like time consumption. So I was wondering if social media, has it really affected your work or like affected your life at home, or do you kind of just stay away from it?
I think for the most part, social media has benefited my life. Like it's allowed me to connect with a lot of people, with a lot of other teachers that kind of feel the same way that I do, and we kind of cheer each other on. Especially for me, I'm the only teacher at my school that teaches my subject, so social media is a great way to connect with other people that teach what I teach. And like when I'm at school, like when I'm on planning, sometimes I get on my phone, but I try not to be on it in front of the kids. Like I like most people, I'm probably on my phone too much in general, but it's also been really great for communicating with parents. We have a band Instagram, we have a band Facebook page. So it's a lot easier to keep in touch and make sure parents know about things like concerts and stuff. So I think social media has its pitfalls, but overall it's been a positive in my life.
Yeah. How about the kids? Are they like on their phones constantly in class and stuff, or?
I will say at this school, it's the worst I've dealt with it. But it's still not terrible. Like if I tell them to put it away, they put it away. I don't generally have huge issues with it. And honestly, most of the time it's them, like it's their parents. I think, and I get it, a lot of parents now, like they get anxious about sending their kids to school because, you know, the things that we have to deal with at school sometimes. And they just like being able to stay connected with their kids. And I get that. And so I try to be understanding. If a kid is like, hey, can I text my mom really quick? I generally say yes. Like, I feel like, you know, the teachers that have this mentality, like technology is the devil and the kids are attached to their cell phones and then they're on their phones just as much. Like, I think just being understanding with the kids, like when letting them use it when they need to use it, they respect you a lot more when you're like, hey, put your phone up. We're in the middle of class. So I think just again, going back to like, kids are people too. Treat them like humans. Like, none of us have to deal with being off of our phones for 8 hours a day, and like, it's okay if they need to text their mom.
Yeah, for sure. Just a quick kind of a question I just thought of. Just a fun question is like, what would be the last class you would teach in the school? Like if you like to teach anything, what would be the last one you would teach?
Like least favorite, like I would never.
Like which would you think you'd like fail miserably at or something?
That's tough. Probably math, which is funny because band is math. Like we do math, like we're counting all the time, but like math is not my favorite. I don't love it. At most I have to count to 8, so I'm good with that. I would not want to teach math.
Yeah, true. Math and like music, is that like you got tempo, like the BPM and stuff like that? That's the only thing you really gotta look out for, isn't it?
Yeah. And like the subdivision of the beat and stuff like that. So, but other than that, at most it's counting to 8. So I got that. I got that many fingers at least, so I can figure it out.
Yeah, for sure. I honestly wasn't even a huge fan of math. It's one of my least favorites. Some people find it fun. I don't find it fun. It's just numbers on a page to me. So, oh yeah, and another thing with like the music, when are you teaching them like different chords, keys, all that, the music theory stuff?
To a point, we don't really do chords because for us, other than percussion, they can only play one note at a time. Now, like my kids, they learn how to tune a chord and balance a chord. Because they play chords as a whole band. And then we do learn keys. They learn scales. We practice in scales every day, which they hate. But I'm like, scales and key signatures and all that, that's the fundamentals of playing music if you can play that. But it's kind of like telling them they have to eat their broccoli. They don't love it, but it's good for them.
Yeah, for sure. Is there like certain keys, like a certain key major or minor that you usually stick around because it's easier to go about teaching?
Yeah, we stick mostly in major. Like our state has a specific, like we have auditions that the kids have to do at some point. So I usually stick to those scales, but then like today, my 8th grade started playing a piece that is in a minor key. And I was like, okay, we're not going to learn these scales, but this key. It has the same key as this major scale. And they were like, I was like, but in high school, you will learn your minor scales, so it's good to know that they exist. But usually for middle school, we focus mostly on major keys and mostly like flat keys for us.
Yeah, I definitely find majors to be easier to kind of learn, to be honest, because when I do my music, I do a lot of digital stuff, like digital guitar, digital brass, and all that kind of stuff. So knowing the keys is kind of like, it's pretty important, or you're not going to have a good sounding track at all. But definitely when I was like, I did a bunch of learned a bunch of it in college, and then at the same time taught a lot or looked a lot of, like, that's YouTube. You can look up a bunch of this stuff. So I kind of taught myself a lot of the keys and fundamentals of it, and I found majors to be where to start. So yeah. I can totally see why you teach it first. What are all the instruments in like the band?
Okay. So in our program, we have flute, oboe, clarinet, bass clarinets. For saxophone, we have alto, tenor, and bari. And then, I don't know, I think I said oboe. We have an oboe. And then we have trumpet, French horn, euphonium, trombone, tuba, and then percussion. I think the only main band instrument we don't have is a bassoon. I just didn't have any kids that wanted to play bassoon this year, but hopefully one day soon.
Yeah. The bassoon, how come no one wants to play it? Because I always found that instrument to be I like the sound of it. Maybe you just have a class that doesn't like the sound of it or something. I don't know.
I think it's kind of intimidating. Especially like, when you're trying to start 6th graders, it's pretty big compared to them. But I have a 7th grader that's interested. She plays flute now and she's interested in switching. So I think I think bassoon, you can start 6th graders on bassoon and it's doable, but for me, the kids that have taken to it the most, they started on a different instrument and then moved over, because I just think it's a lot, you know. It's, I mean, it's almost as tall as I am, like standing up. It's pretty big, and they're kind of small.
Yeah, for sure. So I don't think, I don't know for sure, but with your school band and all that, is there maybe in high school or something, or like later on, when do strings ever come into play, or are they kind of just different?
We actually don't have strings in our county. I'm not sure why. Orchestra is not as big in Georgia overall. There are a few counties that, like the county next door to us, they have strings in their schools. But it's just not as big in Georgia that I've noticed. Band is king in Georgia. But it's hard. It sucks a little bit, because I have kids that move in and they are a violin player, or, you know, they play cello and they're like, I want to keep doing music. And I was like, I have a saxophone you can try to learn. And they usually take to it pretty quick, but it stinks that they have to do that. But yeah, our entire county does not have a strings program.
Oh, yeah, that's actually kind of weird. You'd think, but why do you think that is? Is it just because the community doesn't? It's just weird to think about, honestly.
Yeah, I'm not sure. And like, you know, being from Georgia, like, I don't like orchestra. Like, I knew orchestras exist, but like, you know, like it. I mean, and we're 45 minutes from downtown Atlanta, and we have the Atlanta Symphony, and like I took my kids to go see them, and they had to like crane their heads to see the band instruments. But I'm not sure what it is. I don't know that it's valued, but I don't think it's on purpose. I think just people don't know. Like it's not a thing here, and so people don't know what they're missing out on, I guess.
Yeah, that might be the case. I had another question to ask. Is like, have you had many hardships or problems you've ran into? Because you've been teaching for 8 years, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, in those 8 years, has there been like problems maybe with instruments or like students or whatever the case may be? And how you got over it?
Yeah, every year there's something. You know, nothing. This year has been too bad, but last year was probably my hardest year of teaching. The year before that was my first year at the school. I kind of had to move around a lot because my husband also teaches band, and it made things complicated. But my first year at that school, I was diagnosed with cancer, and I missed a bunch of school. And so I didn't have a great rapport with the kids. And so it's like something minor happened, but because I didn't have a good rapport with the kids, it escalated over the summer and into this past school year. And this mom was just really not happy with me, and like she wouldn't sit down and have I was like, you know, I feel like we should meet face to face and, you know, get on the same page. She's like, nope. And it escalated to the point where she showed up at an after school rehearsal unannounced, and like was swearing in front of the kids. Like we ended up having to call the police and had asked for like a restraining order and all that. But yeah, that was stressful, and like ultimately like it sucks the most for the kid who loved playing her instrument, loved being in band. I think she's a high school student now, and I think she still loves being in band. And I think what it boiled down to was just poor communication. And it's hard to say this, but I didn't have a very good admin. It's part of why I'm not at that school anymore. The admin didn't handle the situation very well, so it snowballed. It could have been easily handled like this, just a face-to-face meeting with a parent, but because it snowballed for so long, it just exploded. But luckily, like at the board level, I was very supportive. And I still teach in the same school district, just at a different school.
Oh, okay. Do you mind if I ask like why the parent was so, is it just lack of communication? They
Yeah,
just got flustered over it?
I mean, I've learned that when situations escalate that badly, that there's probably something else going on. But it literally started from like, I had a bunch of kids that tried to leave the room to go to the bathroom without permission. And I was like, no, you can't leave the room without permission. Like, I have to keep you guys safe. I have to know where you are. And, you know, middle school kids are not always the best communicators. And mom, to my understanding, thought that I had told the kids that they couldn't go to the bathroom, which I was like, okay, not true. And it escalated. And I think there was more going on there than just me, but I was just not that I'm perfect by any means. I'm sure I raised my voice more than I should have at the kids, but I was an easy target for her wrath.
Yeah. I feel like there obviously had to be something else. I feel like people that do that, even with anything, they just, when things escalate because of somebody's just taking things way too seriously, there's obviously something going on with them.
Yeah. And I will say, I think that is where technology has been detrimental to education is, you know, because of email. Like, parents, they can do all these things and never have a face-to-face interaction. Like, where it used to be like, at the very least, it was a phone call and you heard somebody's voice and it allowed you to humanize them. You know, with email and like never seeing people face-to-face, it's kind of like trolls in real life. Like, you know, it's easy for them to lash out because they don't see you as a person because they've only interacted with you via email.
Yeah. Yeah. And like a lot of things can be misunderstood online easily too. Because you could say something sarcastically, but how do they know you're saying something sarcastically? Or if someone says it to you, like, there's not really a good way of telling.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I do feel like social media has a bunch to do with that. And I don't know, I feel like there's a lot of general sensitive people out there. Even for instance, if you like went to a drive-through or something and someone got the wrong order, because I've seen this, and they just get so mad. They're yelling at the people or whatever. It's just like, just take your food. Like, you live in one of the best countries in the world. Like, you have food right in front of you. Just take it, you know. Like me, I don't know. If someone screws up my order or something, I'm fine with it. I'm just like, oh, this isn't what I ordered, but for next time, you know, whatever this is, I'll eat it. As long as I'm not paying a huge price for like a small amount or something.
Yeah, it's like, it's not that serious. And like, people make mistakes. Nobody's perfect. Like, we have to give each other grace.
Yeah, we really do. Yeah, I don't know. There's a handful. I feel like most people are pretty respectful. But there are a handful of people that kind of take things too far. It's just like, seriously.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess we could try I don't know if you looked over the questions. There's kind of the fun section, the more trending questions we can jump into.
Okay, yeah.
I guess actually before that, I have one more. What advice would you pass on to others looking to get to like where you're at?
I think to teach middle school, you have to love middle school. The kids go through a lot of changes, and I think you have to be somebody that is patient and loves the kids enough to really handle that. And just getting as much experience as possible. Like, even before I started teaching, I tried to be in as many classrooms as possible. And even now, like, I like to go observe and learn from other teachers that are maybe teaching longer than me, or maybe doing something that I aspire to do. But middle school is a blast. You just have to kind of embrace the chaos. It was funny, my husband comes over every day and helps me, and he's there for 6th grade. He's like, man, teaching 6th grade is like somebody punches you in the face and then leaves. I was like, yeah, but it's awesome. But I think if you really love it, it's so worth it. It's hard. Teaching is hard. It'll be one of the hardest things you do, but it's the most rewarding.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so the fun stuff. I guess, what do you like the most about your city?
I like where we live because we get the benefits of like Metro Atlanta, without actually living in Atlanta. We're about 30-45 minutes outside of like downtown. It's like, if we want to hop in our car and go to a Braves game, or, you know, go see the Atlanta Symphony, or, you know, just go hang out around downtown. Like, I like that we have access to like really cool stuff, but I can stay home and be a homebody and not have to deal. Where we live is fairly quiet in comparison, so it's just the right amount of distance from like being able to do stuff if you want to do stuff.
Yeah, that's always good. You're right between kind of the bigger life and then the kind of the smaller, more, I don't know, secluded life. It's not like you're like small town, like, what I'm small town life, city life, whatever. What are the attitudes of like the different neighborhoods? Yours?
It's kind of funny because I think because I've taught in kind of different sides of our county, and I kind of was like, I would talk to my husband about it, like, we have, like, everywhere in our county I think is pretty good, but just the way they approach things, like, I feel like where I'm at now, they value, like, education more, but where I was before, like, they value hard work more, and I think both have value, so it's just a really cool mix of, like, everybody cares, it's just in different ways about different things, and when we all come together, like, really cool stuff happens.
Yeah, that's cool. What annoys you the most about living where you're at?
Even though we are 45 minutes away from Atlanta, we still have Atlanta traffic. It starts at 3 o'clock in the afternoon and goes until like 7 o'clock at night. So if we leave, I'm lucky I live very close to my school, but if we go outside of like a 5-minute radius of our house, we're in traffic. So it's a blessing and a curse.
Yeah, I honestly think I think traffic almost everywhere is like just getting worse and worse. There's there's only a limited amount of roads, and then they've got new drivers coming in. Like it's crazy. Like we're in Edmonton. You know where Edmonton is?
Mm-mm.
I guess I don't know how to explain this. There's been a few people in the interviews that don't exactly know where Edmonton is. I've had to try to explain it. How about Calgary? Do you know Calgary? Alberta?
I at least know where Canada is. I lived in Michigan for like...
It's a Western Canada. We'll just put it that. It's I think the 5th biggest city. Canada's not very big.
Windsor is. That's about what, like, I know where Windsor is because it's like right near Detroit. So.
Okay, yeah. Edmonton's like far off northwest. But our traffic here, just getting to work, is just terrible. I guess it's always backed up. And the road construction's insane. They're always fixing stuff they don't need to be fixing, to put it that way. I don't know. So it's always backing everything up. But yeah, what would you do if you're in charge for a day? Is there things you would change?
I would fund education better. I would fund fine arts better. I would build all the schools that are like mine a new band room, because my band room is tiny and my band is big and we are very squished. But yeah, other than that, like, more public transportation. Going back to like traffic, Atlanta has awful public transportation. Like, it's so bad. Yeah.
Is it is it the bus system or?
We have buses, and then we have like a rail system, like a light rail system, but it's like this. It goes like just to a few places, north and south and east and west, and it doesn't, like, for us to get to the closest one, it's still like a 30-minute drive. I'm like, man, I would love to just be able to hop on like a light rail and get downtown, but it's not gonna happen.
Yeah, we have a rail system here, but it's like north to south. That's it. But I mean, Edmonton's not exactly the biggest city, so kind of all we need. It mainly goes through, like, we have 3 big universities. It goes through like 3 of them, so that's it's mostly for the students that go to those, because like parking at college and stuff isn't exactly cheap.
Yeah.
So there's that. But yeah, that's interesting stuff. There are trending questions, so I'll get right into those. Are you an iPhone or Android user?
I am team iPhone.
Really?
I have this
is that the newest one?
It is, and I love it. I like my kids make fun of it because of the cameras. They're like, "Oh, you have the stovetop cameras," but I take a lot of really awesome pictures of my dogs. But yeah, I've had an iPhone, like, I think since the beginning.
What do you like the most about it?
Um, I like the pictures. I like the quality of the pictures. I don't know. I think at this point it's just what I'm used to. When I got a cell phone, like probably my third or fourth cell phone, like by the time I got to college, it was an iPhone. So it's just what I'm used to at this point, and I am old and set in my ways.
How's the battery, or how do you feel about it?
Yeah, it's good. On the one I had before, I think I had a 10 before. The battery was not so great. This one, and like I said, I'm probably on my phone too much. It'll last all day, and I take a lot of pictures. I do workout videos on it. I use it as a tuner for my kids. Like right now, I'm at 38%, and I've been using it all day.
Yeah, well, I mean, it is the newest one, so I feel like it would be good. Because I have the 6S, so I'm still ways back. The battery is absolutely terrible. I kind of want to switch because I don't like the adapter for the new iPhones, like that little dongle that you can plug your headphones in.
Oh yeah, that does suck.
Because I used to have 7 when it came out, but I lost that thing like 10 times. And it's like $15 to get a new one. So I just went back to the 6S because you have both your charge port and your headphone port. So I can just, yeah.
I miss that because everything like headphones and stuff, like it's just, you got to pretty much just have Bluetooth. I mean, you can get the adapter, but.
Yeah, and I don't like Bluetooth because the reception is slower. I mean, like Bluetooth now, like you see what are they? The AirPods or whatever. The Bluetooth on that would be really good, but that's a lot of money for those. So,
yeah.
How much are they? Do you know where the AirPod Pros are, like the newest ones?
I feel like they're like a few $100, and I am a teacher. I don't have that kind of money.
Yeah.
I felt bad enough.
Yeah, well, in reality, who does have that money for just headphones? You could just go get headphones at like, I don't know, like a drugstore or whatever, and they're like good quality for like 15. That's all you need.
Yeah, Amazon wants to like.
Yeah. So what do you think of the ongoing trend of like the plant-based food products?
I'm really big into health and fitness, so I think anytime where people have an opportunity to make better choices, it's good. I think if people aren't always real about labels, so just because something is like labeled as plant-based or healthy, like doesn't mean it's necessarily as healthy as we think it is. So I'm a little bit mixed on it, like especially like things like, like plant-based things that are supposed to taste like non-plant-based things. I'm like, okay, there's got to be something in there that's not great for you. It's still like processed ingredients still. I eat plant-based some things, like, but I also really like bacon. So I think, eat whole foods in moderation is my mantra, but, I know people have dietary restrictions and, some people that have health issues, that's what works for them. So I think anytime people have options, it's a good thing.
Yeah, for sure. I feel like it's not a bad thing. I feel like there's more options for people that want to try different things. I don't get people who bash on either side. People who bash people for just eating that, or people who bash people that for eating meat. Because I really don't understand why there has to be like a war over it kind of deal. Like it's just eat whatever you need to eat, as long as you're not wasting it. That's like the real issue, I think, is people who waste their food. So
yeah.
Another question is like, do you watch the Grammys or?
I actually haven't watched them in a while, which I feel like a bad musician. One thing I love that they do though is they do a Grammy Award for a music teacher every year. Like you can be nominated for it by your students, and like you make finalists, and it's kind of like Teacher of the Year, but it's the Grammys. They do a lot for music education, which I think is great. I don't know, maybe I'm showing my age. Like I said, I appreciate that some of this music exists, but like a lot of times I don't know. I don't always know who the people are though. Like, although I will say, I know who Lizzo is, and I feel like she's like one of the most popular people now, but she's she's a musician, she's a flute player. But yeah, like for us, we don't have cable that much because that's the society we're in too now. So watching things like that is not always hard, but I love what they do to bring awareness for music, and I love what they do for music education and for music educators. Like anytime anybody supports that, I'm totally on board.
Yeah, for sure. The question with that though, Cody, I don't think you haven't watched the most recent one. I mean, even if you haven't, it's just, do you think a lot of these artists that do win these like album titles and rewards, do you think they actually deserve it, or do you think they have like I don't know, like they have something like maybe like a look to their music? Like I don't know how to explain it, but they're not actually deserving of it, but the way they kind of present themselves maybe on media, maybe they had a like huge following because of it, but it wasn't exactly the best artistic record to come out. Do you feel like Grammys is good for actually giving the right titles and rewards to the right musicians who like kind of deserve it?
I think that is the danger, especially kind of going back to social media. Like marketing is huge now, so like what's popular may not actually be what's actually popular because of the way things are marketed and algorithms and all the things. Like I don't claim to understand all of it, but it's easier for people to get popular, but it's also easier for people to get popular. So it's hard. I think a lot of the ones that are like really artistic merit are the ones that aren't televised. Like they have the separate award ceremony that's before for the not as popular categories. I think those probably have a little bit more artistic merit, but they're not as flashy or showy as the ones that they put on TV.
Yeah, for sure. I was going to ask because of the most recent one I watched. I was kind of disappointed to see a lot of these artists that don't even get recognized. I listen to a lot of music, so like I can kind of get critical because I make it as well, so I kind of know where an artist comes from with some stuff. But like some artists, there's this one band, you probably wouldn't know them, but their name is Daughters, but they came out with this record that was like something that you can't replicate because it's its own sound, and it's such a dark channeling sound they have throughout the whole album, and they don't get any recognition for a project like that in the Grammys. Like I get it, they're kind of a smaller band, but they actually blew up because of that album, and I'm surprised that Grammys didn't recognize it at all. So it might be just a genre outside of what they look at, though. Could be that. But that's kind of my thoughts on the Grammys. So, and our last question is, with Thanksgiving coming up, do you have any like family traditions, stuff like that?
Yeah, our family traditions are like, it's actually one of my favorite things about Thanksgiving is like we don't do the normal Thanksgiving. We get up. I'm from the Savannah area of Georgia, which is down by the coast, and they do a turkey trot every year. So we go and run 4 miles, and then we go out to eat, which no leftovers, which I like because like to me I will gorge on them, and then we go bowling at night. So turkey trot, go out to eat, and then we go bowling.
That actually sounds pretty fun.
Yeah, it's fun. Like we've been doing it pretty much since my husband and I have been married. And it's one of my favorite things about our family.
Yeah, that's good. Doing those good quality things. Like bowling's the biggest thing. I would never think of when we have our Thanksgiving early here. I think it's like early October in Canada. But it's always just a classic turkey dinner or whatever, and that's it. But bowling, that sounds fun. That's something more people should do. But that basically wraps up the interview. So thanks for doing this once again.
Yeah.